بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وآله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. Continuing on our lesson of Zakat al Fitr. ثانيا, secondly, متى ندفع زكاة الفطر إلى المسكين? When is the Zakat al Fitr payable to the poor person? It's very important for us now to understand and also affirm that the zakah is paid to the poor person, the needy person. In Hadith Sahih Abi Dawood, An-Nafi'i, narrated Nafi'i, and Ibn Umar, he narrated Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhum, Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, قال, he said, Amarana, we were commanded by who? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, بزكاة الفطر, to pay the zakat al-fitr, أن تؤدى أن تؤدى قبل خروج الناس إلى صلاة. That is, we should pay it before the people went to pray the Salatul Eid. So, if he had not yet paid the Zakatul Fitr, before he goes to pray the Salah of the Eid Salah, he hands the Fitr to the poor person. قال, Abdullah ibn Umar رضي الله عنهما says, فكان ابن عمر, so Abdullah ibn Umar used to what? Who is telling us? Nafi' is telling us, فكان ابن عمر يؤديها قبل ذلك باليوم واليومين. So here's our proof. You can give out the Zakatul Fitr one day before the Eid Salah or 2 days before the Eid Salah. So he used to do that also. Al-Uthaymin في فتاوى أركان الإسلام. Sheikh Uthaymin in the fatwa of the pillars of Islam, ما حكم, what is the ruling? إخراج زكاة الفطر في العشر الأوائل من رمضان. What's the ruling on paying the Zakat al Fitr in the first 10 days of Ramadan? يجوز أن تقدم قبل العيد بيوم أو يومين. It may be served a day or two before Eid. لما في ذلك, because of this, لما في ذلك من التوسع على المعطي والآخذ. It may be served a day or two before Eid because of this expression of the giver and the taker. The giver and the taker. على المعطي والآخذ, هو الآخذ. أما ما قبل ذلك, as for before that, فإن الراجح من أقوال أهل العلم أنه لا يجوز. The most correct opinion of the scholars, it is not permissible. أنه لا يجوز. وعلى هذا فلاح وقتان. Accordingly, these are two times. وقت جواز قبل العيد بيوم أو يومين. These are the permissible period. Permissible time, a day or two before the Eid Salah. ووقت فضيلة يوم العيد قبل الصلاة. And a virtuous time, the day of Eid before prayer. So here is something very important we can see. The permissible time you can give a day or two before the Eid prayers. And the virtuous, very well honorable and most liked day is before the Salah, you give it to the poor person, you hand it to him on the Eid prayer. يوم العيد قبل الصلاة. أما تأخيرها إلى ما بعد الصلاة. But as for delaying giving out the Zakat al Fitr until after the Salah, فإنه حرام. Then it is forbidden. If you make a decision yourself, you say, well, I'll give out when I finish my prayers. It is forbidden. Why? Because we said last time, it is sadaqah. It is considered as what? Sadaqah. It's a very important thing. Another point, Sheikh Uthaymeen, he gave a very important point for us to understand. When it comes to fiqh of the deen, the Imam of this century is Sheikh Uthaymeen, Imam Uthaymeen. So he's telling us, Al-Uthaymeen fi fiqh al-ibadah. Uthaymeen is telling us on the fiqh of worship. إذا غابت الشمس, when the sun sets, من ليلة العيد, on the night of Eid, wajabat, the following takes place. When the sun sets on the night of Eid, wajabat, it is obligatory. The following takes place. 1. فلا ولد للإنسان ولد بعد مغيب الشمس ليلة العيد. If a child is born after sunset on Eid night, لم تلزمه فطرته. Then it is not wajib to pay the Zakat al Fitr. He is born after the sunset. So it implies if he was born before the sunset of the day of Eid, then his zakah is payable. ولو مات الإنسان قبل غروب الشمس ليلة العيد. But there's one thing you need to understand. If a child is born after sunset on Eid night, it is not obligatory for him to pay, the Zakat al Fitr, but desirable. وإنما تستحب. وإنما تستحب. It is desirable. ولو مات الإنسان قبل غروب الشمس. If a person dies before the sunset on the Eid night, ليلة العيد, لم تجب فطرته أيضا. Zakah is not obligatory on him either. لأنه مات قبل وجود السبب. وجود السبب الوجوب. Because he died before the reason for the obligation existed. Before the reason for the obligation existed. I want us to understand this. وقت جوزوا ووقت فضيلة. وقت جوزوا قبل العيد بيوم أو يومين. Now here, the time that is permissible, you can give out your Zakat al Fitr one day or 2 days before the day of Eid. And then comes وَوَقْتُ فَضِيلَةٍ, the virtuous day. That is the virtuous time. It is the day of Eid itself now. Before the Salah, you give it to the poor person. You hand it over to the poor person. That's why وَلَوْ مَاتَ الْإِنسان قبل غروب الشمس, before the sun set and somebody died, Laylatul Eid, that is the night of the Eid, has not yet reached, لم تجب فطرته أيضا, because the virtuous time, the waqtu fadila, is the day of Eid before the Salah. Very important. لأنه مات قبل وجود سبب الوجوب, سبب الوجوب, because this guy, this gentleman, this Muslim brother died before the reason for the obligation existed. That is the waqtul fadila. This is the virtuous time, the time of actually giving the fitrah before the salah. So here comes an issue. When we go for the salah in the field or in the masjid, there's nothing wrong in giving the Eid al-Fitr there. That is the virtuous time itself. But unfortunate, the ones collecting it are not tending to the poor people before your salah. So because of that, best for you to give it out 1 day, 2 days before, and you are sure it's going to be given. Because here people are collecting it in the masjid. After collecting it in the masjid, they will keep it, plan for it, where to send, even 2-3 months after. Your zakah is your responsibility. ولو عقد الإنسان على امرأة قبل غروب الشمس. Even a woman is married before the sunset from the last day of Ramadan, من آخر يوم رمضان, لازمته فطرتها. He must pay her Zakat al Fitr على قول كثير من أهل العلم, according to the view of very many ulama. لأنها, because she كانت زوجته حين وجد السبب, because she was his wife when the reason occurred. She was his wife when the reason occurred. Occurred for what? For paying the Zakat al Fitr. فإن أقدر له بعد غروب الشمس ليلة العيد لم تلزمه فطرتها. If he married her after the sunset on Eid night, then there is no Zakat al Fitr obligatory upon her. So the one who is marrying her is not obligated to pay the Zakat al Fitr on her behalf. But if he married her before the sunset of the Eid, and that is the last day of Eid, then you have to pay also the Zakat al Fitr for her. She's on your list. If you married her after the sunset, when the night of the Eid is now known as coming tomorrow, and people have already had the iftar, this is after the sunset, there is no Zakat al Fitr on her. So there's something very important that you need to understand. Waqtu jawazu. Waqtu jawazu, the time it is permissible. Waqtu fadila, and the time that is virtuous. The true time is giving out the fitr before the Eid Salah. If you can give it to the poor person directly, this is the best. But for us, like us who are living here in, say, in UK, like London now, or wherever, But in the UK, it's a bit difficult. They will collect your money, they will count the money, they will distribute the money, they will make arrangements for its distribution. Here it can even take a month, 2 months, even 4 months. So now, your zakah is your responsibility. See to it that before the salah, it reaches the poor person so that he can also enjoy his Eid with his family just like you. So better to take in the waqt that is permissible, a day or two, and you're sure whom you're giving it out to. If you don't know, for example, you're sending it back home, do not just give your family and tell them do this, do that. No. No problem. You've done it. But the best back home, get somebody who is learned and who will understand how to distribute it. We stop here, inshallah. We'll continue afterwards. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.